It is 2 a.m. A guy in New York, mid-30s, works in logistics, opens his laptop. He is not checking email. He is not watching something. He is running a financial analysis on a rival company's supply chain using an AI tool that 18 months ago only hedge funds in Manhattan could afford. He finishes, closes the laptop, goes to sleep. By morning, he has repositioned his entire inventory strategy. He will save roughly $60,000 that quarter, not because he hired a consultant, not because he had an MBA or a Bloomberg terminal, because he had $40 a month and a browser tab. That is not a motivational story. That is a warning. Because somewhere else, right now, your competitor, your peer, maybe the person sitting 2 rows behind you in a co-working space, they are doing the same thing. And the only difference between you and them is not intelligence, it is not capital, it is whether you know which tools exist and whether you are actually using them. In 2026, AI and money have become inseparable. Not in the vague, futuristic, robots will take your job way people have been saying for 10 years. In a very specific, very measurable, very right now way. The tools exist, they work, and most people have no idea what they are actually capable of. So let us fix that. Here is a number worth sitting with, $4.7 trillion. That's the rough estimate of value that AI tools injected into global financial workflows in 2025 alone, through automation, better forecasting, reduced overhead, and smarter capital allocation. Most of that did not go to some abstract entity called the economy. It went to specific people and specific businesses that figured it out first. And here is the uncomfortable part. We are still in the early window. The gap between people using these tools seriously and people using them casually or not at all is still wide enough to matter. But that window does not stay open forever. In 2008, if you understood algorithmic trading before everyone else, you had an edge. By 2015, it was table stakes. In 2012, if you understood SEO and content, you could build a media company from nothing. By 2020, the room was packed. Every single category of competitive financial advantage in the digital age follows the same curve. Early movers win, then it democratizes, then the edge evaporates. We are right now, in 2026, at roughly the same place with AI money tools as we were with smartphones and mobile banking in 2011. It feels new, it feels complicated. Most people are not taking it seriously yet, which means the ones who do benefit disproportionately. Let us talk about what they are actually using. Most people, when they hear AI money tools, imagine a chatbot that tells them to diversify their portfolio. Generic, useless. The first real category is nothing like that. It is AI-powered financial forecasting and scenario modeling. And the reason it matters is this. For most of human history, the ability to model financial scenarios accurately was essentially a privilege. Investment banks had teams of analysts running Monte Carlo simulations. Private equity firms had proprietary software costing hundreds of thousands of dollars annually. Everyone else had Excel and hope. That wall came down fast. Tools like Runway, Causal, and Cube, and newer entrants that emerged through 2025 now let a small business owner or a solo operator build dynamic financial models that update in real time, run thousands of scenarios simultaneously, and flag risks before they become visible to the naked eye. Here is a concrete example. A restaurant operator in Lagos used one of these tools to model 17 different scenarios around food cost inflation, currency fluctuation, and foot traffic seasonality, all at once. The tool identified a specific 3-month window where her cash position would drop below operational threshold. She saw it 4 months in advance. She arranged a small line of credit. The crisis never arrived. That is not glamorous. There is no dramatic pivot, no heroic moment, just a problem that was avoided because someone could see around a corner that used to be invisible. The irony is this. The tools that hedge funds used to pay 7 figures for annually are now subscription software, monthly fees in the range of $30 to $200. The intellectual moat filled in. The question now is purely behavioral. Are you using them or not? Let us talk about tax and accounting intelligence. Not because it's exciting, it is famously not exciting, but because it's where most individuals and small operators leave the most money on the table, quietly, every single year. The traditional model looks like this. You do things throughout the year, you hand receipts to an accountant in March, they do what they can, and you pay whatever you owe. It is entirely reactive. It is like navigating by looking in the rearview mirror. AI tax tools broke that model. Platforms like Keeper, Digits, and the newer wave of AI bookkeeping agents do something fundamentally different. They don't just record what happened, they analyze patterns in real time and surface decisions. They look at your income, your expenses, your business structure, your jurisdiction, and they flag opportunities while there is still time to act on them. The math here is actually startling.
The IRS estimates that Americans alone leave over $1.1 billion in legitimate deductions unclaimed every year, not through fraud, not through complexity, but through ignorance and timing. Small business owners miss deductions because they didn't know they qualified. Freelancers miss write-offs because nobody told them the category existed. An AI system that watches your transactions continuously and says, you spent $3,000 on professional development this year, none of which was categorized correctly, and here's what that costs you in April. That is not a luxury product. That is a basic financial instrument at this point. There is also something quietly remarkable happening in the compliance space. Tax regulations change constantly. In 2025 alone, 12 major jurisdictions rewrote portions of their digital income tax code. Human accountants update their knowledge through conferences and newsletters. AI systems update in near real time. The knowledge gap between a sophisticated AI tax engine and a small regional accounting firm is growing, not shrinking. That is not an insult to accountants. It is just arithmetic. Investment research. This is where it gets philosophically uncomfortable. There was a belief, genuinely held by smart people for a very long time, that markets were essentially efficient. That because millions of participants were constantly analyzing available information, prices reflected reality, and individual investors had no durable edge over simply buying an index fund. That belief is under serious strain right now. Not because markets stopped being efficient, but because the definition of available information changed. AI tools can now process earnings call transcripts, satellite imagery of retail parking lots, shipping container data, regulatory filings from 40 countries, social sentiment across 12 platforms, and synthesize it into a coherent investment thesis in roughly the same time it takes a human analyst to make a cup of coffee. This is what tools like AlphaWave, Danilfin, and a growing category of alternative data platforms are doing, and the results are empirically strange. Portfolios constructed with AI-assisted analysis are not universally outperforming. That would be too clean. But in specific sectors, particularly small cap equities, emerging market fixed income, and private credit, the informational advantage is measurable. Here is the uncomfortable math. If AI can synthesize 10,000 data points in the time a human reads one report, and markets reward speed and completeness of information, then the human analyst reading reports is not competing with other human analysts anymore. They are competing with machines that never sleep. The average retail investor does not need to build a hedge fund, but the retail investor who uses AI research tools is operating with something that looks structurally similar to an information advantage for the first time in the history of retail investing. Pause here. Because none of this is pure upside, and anyone serving you it is selling something. AI money tools have 3 failure modes that don't get discussed enough. The first is garbage in, garbage out. These tools are only as good as the data you feed them. A cash flow model built on optimistic revenue projections